Hello everyone. I decided to show off some of my knitting projects because people ask me about them, and I've been knitting since the age of 9. I come from Soviet Union, so what I practice is what is called here in America continental knitting. As you can see, I'm not looping the thread around the needle like a lot of people here in the US do. I believe this is a much simpler technique that allows me to knit much faster and more efficiently. So this is the project that I lovingly call a Corona blanket because it's big, and I'll show you the size right now if you can see it here, over there. So, and I am almost done with it. I only have a couple of balls of yarn like this left, so I'm just going to knit it out to the full length and then use another very green deep color to crochet around the blanket so that I can hide all those little ends right here that need to be hidden and tucked away. But I'll show the progress of that as well. For now, what I'm doing is completing this pattern. It's a very, very basic pattern. I'm knitting 4 knits and 4 purls, and then I'm flipping them in every 8th or 9th row. So this is the row that I'm actually changing them. So if you can see here, I have 4 purls that will become 4 knits, and then in the next row I will just repeat the same pattern. The reason I'm kind of putting this up in the video is because a lot of people saw me doing this blanket on Facebook, and they could not believe how quickly I am actually working on it. Well, first of all, we're out in lockdown. This is my therapy thing. I can actually feel a lot calmer, and it helps me think when I knit. So I'm spending a lot more time on knitting than I would usually do because, you know, I don't have to commute to work, and there's a lot of free time that a lot of people don't know what to do with during the lockdown. So I decided to resurrect my passion for knitting. I have knitted everything in my life: a lot of sweaters, scarves, socks, gloves, anything that you can think of. So I have a lot of experience, and this of course is not the fastest that I can actually knit, because this is a big project, and the yarn here, if you can see, is a little peculiar to work with because it's a cotton yarn that has this little it's kind of plush, so it clings on itself a lot of times. It does not slide off the needle as easily as wool or silk yarns do. So it's kind of a little bit of a struggle here, but nevertheless, I'm persisting. And this is, as I said, a very, very basic knitting pattern. And the way it works here for the colors is that I basically just change the color of the yarn every 4, 6, or sometimes I think the largest I've done is 8 rows. And it creates this beautiful stripes that way. That I'm basically changing and combining. I'm trying to do sometimes gradient change of colors, and sometimes I would pick the color that corresponds to my mood of the day. But this is, as I said, almost done, so I'm very excited about this. It's pure cotton yarn, so it's kind of heavy, but are ideal for blankets because it will give the blanket the weight that you need, and will keep you warm in any type of weather. Another thing I wanted to kind of see if I can do with these videos as well is I love telling stories, and I do have a lot of stories. I'm 50, so I've seen a lot in my life. I traveled to a lot of my countries. I speak two languages. Russian is my native language, so I'm thinking that I will be kind of taking turns on creating videos in Russian and English for this knitting project if anyone is interested. But the one I was kind of planning on telling for today is this kind of story I made up to explain why continental and American knitting are so different. And to illustrate that, it's obviously a technique. The result is obviously absolutely the same. You still get the same knits and the same purls, but the difference in technique is pretty stark. So as you can see, I'll show that slowly. I'm picking the knit here. Yes, this is the knit, and then leading the thread through the back loop. I've seen my American friends knit, and they kind of, and I'm not sure if I can show it properly, but they kind of wrap the, some do it like this, wrap the thread around the needle. Sometimes they do it with another hand, like with the right hand, but this is probably easier to be shown on the actual knit. So you kind of throw the thread around and then put it through. I can't even do that. Which I thought was really interesting because it does add a lot of extra effort and extra movement to your technique. And I would think, I'm not sure of course, but I would think it would slow you down as well. All I do here is let the needle through the loop of the knit or purl, and then just grab the thread and pull it through. And so that's the continental technique. And I was thinking about how this difference came to be, and I made up this story that probably somewhere on Mayflower or whatever the ship was coming into America, there was an old lady who was knitting, and no one else on the ship knew how to knit. And one day she was gone, and they could not figure out how she did it, but she probably had some unfinished project lying around. So someone took time to try and figure out how it was done, and the best they could do was coming up with this interesting new technique. It does not, of course, explain how people would cast on or cast off the work when it's done or when you just begin it, but that's what I came up with. The technique, the continental technique, was lost somewhere in transit over in the Atlantic on the ship, and people who came here as the first settlers had to reinvent knitting for themselves, and that's what they came up with. Of course, I'm not sure if it's true or not. That might be just my imagination, but that's how I like to think about that. And I still think, of course, that the continental technique is better and much faster, but again, as long as it produces the same results, who am I to judge? All right, so I'm almost done with this piece of yarn here, the ball of yarn. So I will go grab the last one that I have, and probably will finish this work without recording it, but then I will make another recording of how I am working the edges with crocheting, so that all those unsightly endings. And not pretty. Could be hidden away and tucked away. All right, until next time, I'll see you.